Hey YouTube, welcome back. My name is Oliver Jan. In today's video, I want to share exactly why you should stay invested in the stock market, even when it sucks. The stock market, if you've been following, has been down roughly 12.5% since the start of the year. My dollar to dollar account's been down 24% or so since the start of November. Yeah, it's been a lot of bloodshed and very, very sad times. The reason for this is just due to a lot of terrible things that have been happening in the world. We've had the Ukraine crisis with Russia. We've had terrible inflation from 2021. I think we peaked at 7.9%. And then also gasoline prices have been absolutely terrible. Let's talk about why you should keep investing regardless of all this. I'm going to share 3 reasons why you should stay invested and 3 reasons why you should not stay invested. So the first reason why you should stay invested is because being invested during times where the market is down is actually where you can generate the most outsized gains. JP Morgan did a study recently where if you had invested $10,000 back in 2002 and you were to hold throughout all the crises and all the terrible things that happened from that time until the end of last year, your portfolio would have been roughly $62,000 by the end of all of that. And that's including the dot-com bubble, that's including the great financial crisis in 07, 08. It also definitely includes the pandemic in 2020, where the markets took like a 38% dive. Conversely, they also looked at if you missed the 10 best days of the stock market during that same time span, your portfolio of $10,000 would have only grown to roughly $28,000. So still pretty good gains, but as you can see, there's a big difference between the two because one was because you held on for the ride, the other one's because you got spooked and you tried to time the market. Those little factors do play a big role in your eventual investment portfolio account. Long story short, just hold. I think that's probably the easiest and probably the laziest approach to investing that you can do. So the number 2 reason why I think you should keep invested is because you have to retire at some point. It's going to be really hard to use your body and your mind to generate income for you, especially as we approach older age. I think that's the reason why retirement accounts are so popular is because you have to have some type of nest egg to live off of during your later years. So the third reason why I think you should stay invested is because I think it builds a lot of mental fortitude and grit during these like really shitty times in the stock market. Being able to discipline yourself and continue to invest, I think is a very valuable trait that will hold you over despite what happens in the stock market. So here are some reasons why you probably shouldn't be invested in the stock market. Number 1, if you don't have an emergency fund set up, you probably should work on that first before you get started with investing. I think it's like one of the basic ideas of personal finance is to have like an emergency buffer set aside so that if stuff really hits the fan, you'll be prepared and you'll have some money set aside to hold you over through those rough times. I think that having that emergency fund speaks a lot to what I just said earlier, which was having that mental fortitude to withstand like market recessions, because you know that you're well protected. In that same regard, I think the second reason why you probably shouldn't be invested is because if you have credit card debt. If you have credit card debt eating away at your money at roughly 16% APR every single year, you're probably better suited to just pay off that credit card debt as soon as possible rather than stress about being invested in the stock market. It's actually much better to just get that guaranteed ROI from paying off your credit card than it is to worry about being invested in the stock market and hoping to generate a gain within a certain period of time. That adds a lot of stress and a lot of dilemma to your portfolio. And the last reason, again, I guess is a little bit related to the psychological aspect of investing, but are you getting anxious from being in the stock market? Is it terrifying to see your assets drop in value day after day? If it is, I don't blame you. It is not fun. But if it's really driving to the point of having a complete meltdown, I think you need to evaluate then your position and see, do you have enough cash on hand? I would highly recommend that you actually just put a little bit more money into your cash holdings to be able to hold you through those tough times. You might not have enough right now, which is why you're feeling the way you are. You might just need to shore up your emergency fund to make it a little bit bigger so that way you don't have to feel so worried. You have some savings set aside to be able to tide you over. Those are 3 reasons for investing and for not investing. I think it's still really important to stay invested, of course, but obviously there are a lot of personal reasons why maybe one should not be invested in the stock market. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Oliver again. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to hear more tips like this, and if you want to hear more about thoughts about the stock market. Until next time. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.